Today, we're going to go over the search invoice page. The search invoice page is where general users, as well as vendors, if they have access to the workflow through the vendor portal, would have access to search for invoices. Vendors who have access to the workflow would be locked to their vendor name and number information. Other users logging in would be locked to the types of invoices that they have access to. AP and super user are typically going to have access to every invoice that is in the workflow, regardless of what status it's in, and potentially regardless of what division the invoice is in. Buyers have a couple of securities that are available for PO invoices. The invoices can be locked to only PO invoices for the buyer ID that the user is assigned to. They can be open to all PO invoices, or they can be open to all PO invoices within a specific division if you're using division functionality. Non-PO invoices, users who are approvers are locked to non-PO invoices that are a part of an approval group the user either is a part of or that they have view-only access to. Invoices that are outside of their approval group or view access, they will not have the ability to see. They will also not have the ability to see invoices that are not part of an approval group at all. AP and super user would have access to those. You can search in the search by vendor. You can search by invoice number, PO number, or invoice status. The statuses that users can search by is also a security setting. So if you choose for users to not have access to specific statuses, then they will not be able to see invoices that are within those specific statuses. You have searchability by start invoice date and end invoice date, import date, which is a singular date, and export date, which is also a singular date. Approval group for non-purchase order invoices, and priority vendors. So if you want to see just the invoices for priority vendors, you can search for those. If you are using division functionality, you can search and sort by division. You can also search by current directed to. And if you are sending payment information or utilizing the payment processing at all, you can search by check number and by payment date. Your invoice results will show a combination of the data that is shown here. This grid view is editable. So if you are not sending payment information, then we would remove the payment information from the grid view to clean it up. But what you can see is vendor, vendor name, invoice, DBA if the information is being sent, the purchase order number, total of the invoice, import date, export date, who the current directed to is, the current invoice status, days since last action. So that's how many days the invoice has been in the workflow without having an update made. If you're using paid information, you can see the payment amount, payment type, and payment date. Payment type would be check, ACH, P card, credit card, any of those methods. Invoice date, the calculated due date, the division, and from the invoice details page, if there is information entered into the reference field at the invoice header, you can see that reference information as well. Any place you see view invoice image, of course, you can view the original image. And from the details, you can go into the invoice details. The default for result count per page is set to 50. You can change this for the individual search that you are doing, so you can show more results on an individual page, as well as exporting to Excel.